The showroom gleamed under bright lights, polished cars standing like trophies of wealth and power. Customers strolled casually through, receiving smiles and warm greetings, until a man in modest clothes walked in. He paused, admiring a sleek sedan. But before he could step closer, a manager stormed over, his face twisted in disdain. Without hesitation, he ordered him out, his voice laced with contempt. What no one in the dealership knew was that the man they were humiliating was not just another visitor. With a single phone call, he could change the fate of everyone in that building. And soon, he would. Marcus had always been underestimated. Born and raised in a working-class neighborhood, he grew up watching his father fix cars on weekends, just to keep the family's old truck running. From those moments, a love for cars was born. Not just the machines, but the stories behind them. He worked his way through college, often juggling multiple jobs just to stay afloat. After graduation, instead of pursuing the flashy lifestyle many of his peers chased, Marcus quietly began building something bigger. He started with a single auto repair shop. Customers loved his honesty and dedication. Word spread, and soon one shop grew into 3. Within a decade, Marcus had become a quiet giant in the auto industry, investing in dealerships and eventually acquiring full ownership of several locations, though few knew his face. Now, dressed simply in jeans and a plain shirt, Marcus walked into one of his newly purchased dealerships. He wanted to see how employees treated customers when no one was watching. For him, the test was never about sales numbers, but about humanity. Did people treat others with dignity, regardless of how they looked? Unfortunately, what awaited him that day would reveal a cruel reality. The very place he now owned was about to expose deep prejudice, through the arrogance of a single manager who saw skin color as a measure of worth. Marcus's quiet visit would soon become a storm that no one expected. The dealership was bustling with energy. Shiny new models sparkled, as salespeople hovered like bees, eager to land their next commission. Marcus entered quietly, his gaze drawn to a luxury SUV parked in the center of the floor. He admired the craftsmanship, running his hand lightly along the edge of the hood. A young couple nearby was greeted instantly with smiles and handshakes, but Marcus noticed the change in the air when he approached the same display. Salesmen glanced his way but looked past him as if he wasn't worth their time. Then came the manager. His name was Richard, a man who thrived on appearances. Sharp suit, slicked hair, and a smirk that seemed permanently etched on his face. To him, Marcus didn't belong. "Can I help you with something?" he asked, his tone cold, as if Marcus had already crossed a line. Before Marcus could answer, Richard continued, "Actually, you shouldn't be touching that vehicle. This isn't the kind of place you just browse around." The words stung, not for Marcus himself, but for what they revealed. This wasn't about policy or procedure. This was about judgment. Richard's eyes scanned Marcus's simple clothes and dark skin, drawing a conclusion without ever asking a question. Around them, silence grew. A few customers shifted uncomfortably, aware of the hostility but unwilling to interfere. Marcus calmly explained he was interested in the car, but Richard cut him off. "I think you'd be more comfortable elsewhere. Maybe try a used lot down the road." The dismissal was sharp, deliberate, and humiliating. Richard waved him toward the exit, his authority dripping with condescension. Marcus left without another word, but his silence was not surrender. Outside, he pulled out his phone, dialed a number, and spoke with the calm precision of a man in control. He wasn't just any customer. He was the new owner of this dealership, and Richard's arrogance was about to cost him everything. Inside, Richard boasted to a colleague about how he kept the place clean from freeloaders. Little did he know that his pride was building a trap, and Marcus held the key. The next morning, the staff gathered for what was announced as a surprise meeting. Rumors buzzed through the showroom. Was it about sales? A new promotion? No one knew. Richard, standing tall with his clipboard, prepared to assert his usual dominance. Then the doors opened, and Marcus walked in. Not in jeans this time, but in a tailored suit that commanded attention. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Richard's smirk faltered, confusion creeping into his expression. A representative from the corporate office stepped forward. "Everyone, please welcome your new owner, Mr. Marcus Williams." The room froze, Richard's face drained of color. The same man he had shoved out yesterday now stood before him, not as a customer, but as his boss. Marcus's eyes scanned the room, not with arrogance, but with quiet authority. He spoke about values, respect, and the importance of treating every person who walked through those doors with dignity. His voice was steady, but each word carried the weight of truth. Then came the moment of reckoning. Without raising his tone, Marcus addressed Richard directly. He recounted what had happened the previous day, the humiliation, the prejudice, the dismissal. The staff listened in stunned silence, realizing the full gravity of their manager's actions. Finally, Marcus delivered the verdict. "There is no place for this kind of behavior in my company. Effective immediately, you are relieved of your position." Richard's clipboard slipped from his hands, clattering onto the floor. The same arrogance that once shielded him now dissolved into shame. He tried to speak, but the room had already turned its back. His reign of superiority ended in the very place he thought he ruled. In the days that followed, the dealership transformed. Employees whispered about the powerful lesson they had witnessed. Some were shaken, others inspired. Many admitted they had once overlooked customers based on appearance, but now they understood that every person who walked through the doors deserved respect. Marcus didn't dwell on Richard's downfall. Instead, he focused on building a culture rooted in fairness. He instituted new training programs, emphasizing not just sales techniques, but empathy, humility, and inclusivity. Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. Customers noticed the change. Smiles felt genuine, conversations felt warm, and the dealership thrived. As for Richard, his story became a cautionary tale, whispered in break rooms and passed among employees as a reminder of how quickly arrogance and prejudice can lead to ruin. Marcus continued to visit his dealerships, sometimes dressed sharply, other times in his modest clothes. Each time he paid attention not to the cars, but to the people. Were they kind? Did they treat others as equals? That, for him, was the true measure of success. The story of the man kicked out of his own dealership spread beyond those walls, carried into conversations and shared online. It wasn't just about one manager losing his job. It was about exposing the silent, everyday acts of racism that still existed, and showing that integrity could still prevail. And so the question lingered for anyone who heard it. How many times have we judged someone by what they wear, the color of their skin, or where we think they belong? The truth is, you never know who someone is, or what they're capable of. And perhaps the real measure of character isn't how we treat those we think can help us, but how we treat those we think cannot.